The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. This time I'd like to welcome all of you to the Stamps.com Essentials webinar series, Achieving Greater Shipping Efficiency. My name is Kevin Vahidi. I'm the marketing manager here for the PC postage product at Stamps.com, based in Los Angeles, California. Joining me today are my colleague Eric Nash. He's our Director of Online Marketing at Stamps.com, and Chris Dunn, who's the Director of Operations at TrueShip shipping software based in Phoenix, Arizona. I'd like to thank everyone in advance for your time and attendance today. And just to let you know, this webinar, just as most webinars run, will be about 45 minutes to 1 hour, and will include approximately 15 minutes of Q&A at the end of the presentation. And of course, feel free to share any thoughts and questions that you have with us throughout the entire webinar. We will do our best to respond as quickly as we can. And if we don't get to some questions, of course, later in the Q&A, we'll make sure to cover those as well. Today's webinar is basically broken down into two sections. The first section we're going to talk about is basically just an overview of e-commerce shipping best practices that will ultimately improve the customer's experience. The second section talks about ways to streamline and consolidate processes on the back end to optimize the entire shipping process for your business. Basically, the goal is to provide you with a complete overview on ways to improve both sides, the customer-facing and also the back-end shipping processes, and that are ultimately going to enable you to become more efficient with the entire shipping process. Before we actually get into the presentation, I wanted to start off with a poll today, just to kind of gauge and see where the audience is at. And actually, just to make sure, I think everyone should be able to see my screen right now. I don't think I had it on right away, so I apologize for that. Let me just quickly go back here 1 second. Okay, perfect. So sorry about that little mistake there, and I hope everyone can see my screen now. So the first two parts that I just quickly summarized are here on this slide, and on this next slide here will be our first part of the presentation, improving the customer experience. Prior to doing so, what I was trying to do initially was launch this poll, and really just wanted to see what type of USPS mail classes you're currently using. So in just a second, you should see the poll. And the options here are express mail, priority, parcel, media, and first class. We'll just give it a few more seconds here while everyone responds. And it looks like the responses are coming in pretty quickly, so thank you for participating in the poll. And I will give it another 8 seconds or so and close it off. We'll wait for the rest of the audience to come in. We've got about 95% of the votes. And it looks like we've got pretty much everyone has voted. And, well, it looks like we've got 82%. We actually have a tie, 82% priority mail, 82% first class mail. Here are the results you should all be able to see right now. It'll show you, which is actually very interesting. I thought priority might come out first, but it looks like we've got a tie. So 82% first class, 82% priority, then followed by express mail, media mail, and parcel post. This presentation is obviously going to address these topics. This is going to be perfect for you, and of course later we're also going to address this in the Q&A section and make some comments about these mail classes as well. So moving on with the presentation. There are many parts obviously to the shipping process, and today we're going to review some of the most important processes and provide you with tips on how to improve them so that you can not only improve the customer experience but also your internal processes. These processes include determining the actual cost of shipping, properly displaying the shipping cost or shipping cost visibility, also packaging the item, which is very important, and also the final two ways to improve the customer experience are providing them with the proper tracking and also handling returns properly. Of course, most of these processes seem fairly basic at first, and obviously they are. However, many companies still fail to pay close attention to some of these components, and ultimately this results in abandoned shopping carts or lower initial and, of course, repeat sales. Sometimes also it results into negative reviews and much more. For example, many websites fail to clearly display the actual shipping cost and accurately the delivery times for the items that have been ordered. Also, many neglect to send proper tracking links to their customers. Those are some of the things that we're going to discuss and hopefully give you some good tips on today. Properly understanding and executing these processes is essential to the overall process and to the overall success of the business. And those that aren't able to do it sometimes lose out on some of that business. And those that are able to do it increase sales and profits by improving that overall experience, and the entire shopping experience becomes better for the customer. In today's marketplace, companies must be very careful to pay close attention to these details, as they may very well deter potential buyers. In fact, research shows that shipping concerns top the list of reasons why people abandon shopping carts. These next few slides are going to actually cover these important yet basic processes to everyday shipping. The first part of considering what the cost of shipping should be, this is very important. A lot of companies are starting to go towards this method, and that is the flat rate option. And this is designating an actual flat dollar price for the shipment. If at all possible, try to do this. It simplifies the shipping cost. Everyone likes simple pricing. So by analyzing your product's prices, profit margins, and shipping costs, order history, you should be able to determine a flat rate price option that will ultimately benefit you. As you can see on this slide, Payless Shoe Source recently has implemented this, and it's basically a flat rate on ground delivery for any order placed through their website at a rate of $5.95. Obviously, you'll notice it's ground delivery. This wouldn't be possible in other more expedited ways. So you want to obviously make sure that you choose a shipping method that is most beneficial to you, but having that flat rate has been shown to help sales and boost businesses' bottom lines. Consumer research shows that reasonable flat rate will almost always lead to an increase in sales because it keeps it simple, clear, accurate, and in today's age, as you all know, customers want the transparency, and this provides it to them. Of course, there's also free shipping. More and more sites are now offering free shipping to entice customers to make that all-important purchase. Free shipping is also simple and also has been shown to drive incremental sales and ultimately leading to higher average sales. For example, if your average sale is, let's say, $50 on your website, you may be able to increase that over time by offering free shipping for spending at least, let's say, $75 or whatever you want that dollar amount to be that makes sense for your shipping. But the bottom line is by doing so, one of the best benefits of free shipping is that over time it almost always increases that average sale if properly implemented and deliberately set at a dollar amount that is higher than the average dollar amount spent normally on your website. The fact is, customers don't like to pay extra for shipping, whatever that cost is. They may rather spend another $25 on a second product rather than $7 or $8 to ship only one product. So while it may not make economical sense, this is reality, and therefore, this makes free shipping an economically viable option for your business. A 2008 survey by Forrester research showed that 75% of shoppers actually prefer to buy from sites that offer free shipping. This was a jump from 61% back in 2007. This past holiday season, in December of 2009, 73% of consumers told Google that they would be taking advantage of free shipping at their favorite web retailers when buying their gifts for friends and family. So again, some things to consider. More and more, these have shown to be very beneficial for businesses. And of course, don't forget, there's USPS discounts and benefits with PC postage. Most of you, that are Stamps.com users are aware, but this is good to sort of just refresh and remind everyone that, basically these are discounts that are readily available when you use PC postage. Some of the most popular ones are discounted priority and express mail on both domestic and international rates. You can see the exact figures, detailed here. You'll see 14% off priority mail rates, up to 14%, and 5% for express mail. But you can see those numbers on there. And finally, keep in mind that you get free priority and express mail flat rate boxes from the USPS also through a service like Stamps.com, and this is shipped directly to you. One new feature that we've added on here, and this is very new, so many of you may not be aware of it just yet, and I've basically highlighted as new. It's the last bullet here. You'll see discounted international insurance rates. We now have that available. So if you are shipping internationally, we do have discounted insurance rates available, and if you have any questions regarding that, of course, let us know, and we will be sure to get back to you on that. But that's a new feature of our PC postage product. Speaking a little bit more about international shipping, this is the final component of designating that cost of shipping. Always consider, if you're shipping overseas, you have the option of doing first-class mail international. This table will show you the savings, which are very dramatic. So, shipping internationally is not complicated. It's becoming easier and cheaper to do it. It just involves a few extra steps, basically. But, with the PC postage product, again, Stamps.com, we provide you with all the customs forms. So just keep that in mind. It makes it a lot easier to do international shipping. And if you are shipping small, inexpensive items such as health and beauty products, clothing items, accessories, things like that, it's good to consider shipping those first-class mail international because you do save quite a bit. As you can see here, it could go from $10.76 all the way up to $97.42 with UPS. Also, of course, Priority Mail International $26.60. So anywhere from 147% higher all the way up to 800% higher. You, of course, have to keep in mind that it's important always consider when you are shipping first-class international, you don't have tracking. So this is really only recommended for those small and expensive items that you can easily replace. Should there be the need to, you could easily resend the shipment, and it still will save you a lot of money compared to the other methods that are available. Once you've figured out what the cost is, you have to obviously display the cost. Now, again, this seems pretty logical, but there's a lot of sites out there that don't properly do this. The 3 tips that we provide all the time for our customers for shipping cost visibility are, clearly specify the shipping cost, provide options, and don't inflate them beyond a reasonable level. So once you've figured out how much to charge for that shipment, I can't stress how crucial it is to display the accurate shipping costs that are easily visible to your customers. And when it comes to displaying the cost of shipping, you have to be transparent because that will actually help you in your sales. If someone is confused, they will abandon that shopping cart. Whereas if they see it right there, they may not decide to purchase it, but at least it's transparent and it will not hamper them or it will not be a barrier for them to continue in that process. Far too often we come across websites that don't properly display the cost of shipping. In addition to the cost visibility, it's always best to provide the options, of course. If at all possible, some people just will not care how long it takes to receive that package, while others are much more time sensitive and they may want to pay that big difference and get the shipment quickly, obviously. So giving them that option to pay more for overnight service will, in the end, obviously benefit your business because then you have a obviously higher profit margin, hopefully, on that. And finally, keep in mind that customers are much better educated these days. I mean, you all know this, we know it too. But in terms of shipping costs, more and more research is out there. People are just do research themselves with online resources such as shipping calculators on USPS websites, UPS, FedEx. Many customers already have a good idea of how much it will cost to ship an item that they're purchasing. So, inflating the cost beyond a reasonable level for profit may not make the most sense. Obviously, a lot of people use this area to be able to make some sort of profit, but would obviously keep it reasonable because people do know what these, a lot of people do know these days what it's going to cost them to ship. This is just an example from Ralph Lauren's website on these doggy polos. So you can see here that for these 2 shirts, it'll be approximately $8 to ship. Very clear. And you know right away how much that's going to cost you. And this automatically clears up any questions or reservations that you might have or customer has about shipping costs and whether or not this will affect the decision as a buyer. Moving to the next topic is packaging tips. Another area where you may think, well, sure, who doesn't do this? Believe it or not, a lot of people don't do this, and maybe not necessarily all of these steps. Again, these are fairly obvious, but when it comes to packaging your item, you have to keep in mind that customers will always expect a clean and professional look for the product that they've purchased. So while most of these tips, are obvious, if neglected, again, this could lead to potential loss of repeat sales and just not meeting that customer's expectations. Packing slips are, recommended always. This is very important, and this is an important step in the packing process. And software programs such as TrueShip's ReadyShipper make that easy to do, and Chris will touch on that later in the presentation. You also want to be sure to have structurally sound boxes, padding material, bubbles, foam. It's important to know and test the strength of your boxes so that you minimize the risks of damaging your products. We're not suggesting that you spend your profits on fancy boxes here, obviously, but we just want you to be careful as to how the products are packaged. Ultimately, using clean and professional boxes that are structurally sound, including a packing slip, using the right box for the right carrier, and branding Using branded packaging will almost always lead to higher repeat sales, which will deliver ultimately more profit to your bottom line. At first, it may cost a little bit more to provide these components, and you may not be able to do all of them. But over time, again, research shows there will be more rewards that will come, and those will outweigh the expenses. Again, as a final note for cost savings, keep in mind, I've mentioned this again earlier, but just keep in mind you can order free boxes from the USPS Priority and Express Mail flat boxes. And remember, a bad impression from just one delivery consisting of a broken down, dirty, or oversized box, or not a box that's just not as structurally sound, could affect reorders and reviews and lead to a complete loss of repeat sales. So always think through those things when you are packaging your item. Tracking your shipments. Well, this is important. Obviously, everyone that spends money and purchases something would like to see the tracking for it. When it comes to tracking, communication is huge. You always have to communicate tracking info and provide appropriate links that show exact details. We've got some tips listed for you here. Customers basically want to know when their shipments are going to arrive. So at the very least, customers expect an email shortly after the purchase that includes all the details regarding how to track and delivery time. Therefore, tracking info should immediately be communicated to the customer, both on the summary page and in an email right after the purchase. For those of you that use Stamps.com, you already know that that an email confirmation is automatically triggered. You should also take responsibility for lost shipments. This is something that a lot of people don't like to deal with for obvious reasons. But even though it may not be your fault, in the eyes of the customer, you are ultimately responsible for delivering the purchase. Therefore, in the long run, it will be in your best interest to take that responsibility just early on and don't place blame on a third party or carrier. Finally, you can really save time and make the entire tracking process just a lot more efficient with the use of scan forms. And some of you may be familiar with these, but basically these are forms that are called SCAN, which stands for Shipment Confirmation Acceptance Notice. And this is basically a summary page that has a barcode that includes all of your packages that are being sent on that particular day. Once you give your packages to a USPS employee to be shipped, that person will scan the barcode on the scan form, and then it will show the post office that has accepted all the packages in your shipment. And then this feature will make it just much easier for you and your customers to track the packages from the start, because they are all consolidated onto one barcode, which tends to make it a lot easier for shippers. And the final part of this is, of course, handling returns. There's going to be the time where someone needs to send that back. So it's very important. Even though it's the last component of the shipping process, again, make sure you think about this and the process is in place for you to handle should this happen. This really makes a difference in the overall customer experience. Thus qualifies as a shipping best practice. It is how to properly handle returns. And this, you must be diligent and accountable when you handle returns. You should have a clear policy. And do not discourage returns. Mistakenly, some retailers think that by encouraging returns, they will increase them. But in fact, the opposite is true. Customers feel more comfortable purchasing from those companies who do not discourage returns. In the end, this is going to lead, again, to repeat business, hopefully, because if the customer is not happy with their product for some reason, there's a defect or whatever it is, they return it, and they actually return the product, and odds are that they will still continue to purchase from you if you can honor that return and handle it properly. And just the final note on handling returns I want to mention here, return shipping labels also make it very easy to have packages shipped right back to you. So this is very important. If you want to have that proper process in place, you know that in fact Stamps.com users, you can just locate the original label you used to ship the package to your customer in your print history and just request a return shipping label. The software will create the return shipping label as a PDF, which you can then email to that customer. The next slide just has an example, and this is a company that for many years has been very well respected as far as returns. In fact, every week when my wife and I go to Costco, we see the returns line, and it's very efficient, and then they do it the same policy online for returns, and they've stuck with it for years, and it's worked for them. So Costco has been very transparent about their return policy. People know that when they buy something, they can return it. Regardless of what the reason is, they can return it, and Costco will do their best to honor that. So their policy is very clear, and it has served them very well in the public light. And so this slide just shows that, and there's absolutely no confusion here. Returns are welcomed, and you can clearly see that by the copy that's on this slide. So these are some of the things that we hope will eventually just basically, some of the things you've already obviously thought of, some of these things maybe you had not thought of before, but we want to make sure that we provide all of these tips and suggestions to you, again, to make the whole process more efficient, to make the experience a lot more enjoyable for your customers, and to just make sure that your business is running smoothly. So we hope that this has helped you out. Now we're going to shift over to the next part of this presentation, which is really looking at ways to improve the back-end processes for shippers. This section here will be presented by Chris Dunn, who's one of our good friends and colleagues out in Arizona. He is the Director of Operations for TrueShip shipping software. Before introducing Chris and bringing him on, I wanted to just kind of, before we transition to the next section, launch just one other poll because we were interested in seeing what your responses obviously would be for this. And this is Chris's question actually, so I'll go ahead and launch the poll and I'll let Chris take over from there. The question is, how do you enter your new address into your system? And it should be launching right now. There you are. How do you enter your address to create your shipping labels? So options are I type them one at a time, I cut and paste from another application, I import them from a file or from a shopping cart, or none of the above. And we'll just let that go for another 10-15 seconds until everyone has responded. We are getting close. We have about 75% of the votes in. And it looks like just about everyone has voted. We're pretty much, we have the entire audience here. So I'm going to go ahead and close the polls and share the results with you. And here they are. So you can see that cutting and pasting from another application wins out. Closely second is I type them in one at a time. So at this point, I want to pass it over to Chris. Chris, are you there?
I'm here.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to, 1 second here. Let me give you the. Okay, go right ahead, Chris.
Okay, great. My name is Chris Dunn. I'm with TrueShip shipping software. I'm not here to sell you anything. The reason why I'm here is I'm here to give back. Before I was a shipping guy, before I was a software guy, I was in wholesale, warehousing, manufacturing, and distribution. Straight out of school, I jumped into the bicycle industry, and I recognized that I didn't know much, but I had a dream to, we did domestic and offshore manufacturing on a very small level. I was a real small guy, and I benefited, I succeeded basically based on the help and recommendations and some of the mentoring that I got from the people around me, both inside and outside of my industry. So that's why I'm here today. I'm here to share some of my, some of what I learned onto you in the slides that follow, and hope to get some good questions at the end of this. So let's see. Kevin, can you move on to the next slide?
Actually, you just did that, Chris.
Oh, did I?
Yes. You are in full control, my friend.
Okay, because I'm not seeing it. Okay. Then here's what we'll do.
There we go. Do you see it now?
I do see it now.
Perfect.
I will say next. How's that? Okay, let's go next. I can't seem to operate from this side. Can we go to the next slide for me?
Sure.
Great.
There we go.
Okay, super. Some of the topics that we're going to cover right now are setting to multiple channels. For those of you that do it, you know that every channel presents its own challenges. You'll get the CSV files. Maybe you won't get anything at all. You'll get something you need to copy off the screen. That rolls right into where your pain points are. Maybe you do have too much information coming from too many different places. Maybe you're not doing things internally as efficiently as you could be doing. And there are things that you can do with the resources that you have to streamline your processes. Some of that is with the stuff that you have today. Some of it can be helped through maybe other websites, order management systems, and things like that. One of the most important things that I did early on is I sat down with just a few customers and I said, what can I do from where I am today to where I have thousands of customers? It's important to think about that early on if you ever want to get to that point. So that's something that we're going to wrap up with. Okay. We go next. Okay, go to the next slide.
Yeah, it is on the next slide, Chris. I'm sorry. Are you not on the next slide?
No, I'm not seeing it.
You should have complete control of the keyboard.
No, I don't seem to. Unfortunately.
Which screen do you? Which slide do you see?
The same. The first screen. Selecting multiple channels.
Okay. All right, just continue, Chris. I'm sorry. I think everyone should be seeing the correct slide.
The next slide?
Yeah.
Okay, not a problem. All right, so if we're on the next one, identifying pain points. And a lot of you guys answered this initially from the first slide. Do you cut and paste your order information, consistency in order data, how many steps, and so forth. Oh, wait a minute. We actually jumped a slide. We should be on the one that says website. There we go. All right. Now I'm with you. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
No worries.
Starting off with multiple channels. Multiple channels means multiple processes. You can get a feed from your website. That might be a CSV file. Some lower-end websites don't give you any export options at all, which means you're copying and pasting stuff off your screen. eBay has examples. They can give you a live feed. They give you a number of ways to get information out. Amazon, but both of those also represent two different CSV files with two different methods to get information out. Phone orders, that could be you sitting behind the phone, more than happy to take somebody's order over the phone, but that might be going onto a piece of paper. That might be going into your website or into a database order management system that you have. And then if you're one of the lucky ones that has a call center, maybe they're going to send you a CSV file at the end of the day. What all these things amount to is that you've got multiple processes here. You've got different orders coming in from different places in different formats, and it's up to you to get this stuff in a workable and organized fashion to get the stuff out the door in a timely manner. A lot of times that means that you're putting in a lot of work. You're putting in a lot of work to help streamline this stuff and get it into a workable format into one or multiple shipping systems to get it out the door. Okay, and this is where we came to next. Do you cut and paste your order information? A lot of you do. A lot of you hand enter it, and a lot of you cut and paste it. That's something that you should really get away from. When I sat down as a small guy, one of the first things I did was I sat down with just a few customers. How do you enter in something one time and have it be company-wide? You want it to go not only as an order, but as a shipment and a packing list and an invoice and a thank you letter, if that's what you do as well. All of these places, the more time that you end up typing something in, the more chances you have for error. Consistency in your order data. If you're pulling in order information from multiple places, chances are it's in multiple formats. I'll give you a great example. Maybe you use you have a shopping cart. Okay, maybe some of you have a PayPal. The PayPal export will give you an export file, but it doesn't give you all the details. It'll give you a ship to address, but it basically gives you the same level of detail as a credit card statement would, because they are a credit card processor. If you export their CSV file, you'll see that right in there. So you've got a disparate way in how you might import information from your order management system or shopping cart, which it's all going to be there, right? In one instance, you've got full order information. In another instance, you've got partial order information. You've got who you bought, who bought it. You've got where it's going, and you've got maybe 1 out of 5 line items. It's really just a description of what was purchased, and that's just one example. There's a number of them. How many different steps do you have from order to fulfillment? Let me tell you a story. Early on, when I was doing shipping software, we started out as actually a UPS development shop. We did a lot of custom systems and so forth for UPS shippers. And so what we did is we go on field trips, or what I like to call field trips sometime. And we went up to this big shipper in the greater LA area, and no joke, these guys would back up a semi every day. That's how much packages that they were moving. And we walk into a room, and there were 6 people in this room, 6 or 7 people in this room. On the right side of the room were people hand entering orders. On the left side of the hand entering and printing packing slips, and on the other side of the room were people printing shipping labels. And then I think there was a guy in the middle who was collating. Imagine all the labor and time that went into this crazy process for somebody who ships so much. But you don't have to be a big guy to see that. A lot of you guys probably do that today. You probably print a packing slip from your order management system or your shopping cart, and you probably print a shipping label from a different system. And it's a sort of micro version of what these guys are doing. These guys never thought ahead. They got themselves into this giant rut where they were paying all this labor and spending all this time, and I'm sure causing a lot of errors because the packing slips were getting put with the wrong shipping labels, and they were doing all this collating, and they were running these things out to the warehouse, and that's what they needed to stop. And so some of what I'm going to show you going forward is some resolution of that, some potential ways to go that will save you some of the problems that these guys had obviously early on and never grew out of. So if you batch process shipments, which in my last, my UPS example, they definitely were. These guys are printing out everything in advance. They're running it out to the warehouse, and the warehouse guys were grabbing them, pick, packing, and shipping them all in one shot because everything was put in, collated together. Yeah, you're packing, slipping, your shipping label, and that's a good thing as long as it's done well. If you do that, one of the best things, or really a requirement, is to pre-calculate your weights. So you have to know what your weights are. If you know what your unit weights are, you can go a long way in pre-calculating your weights, pre-printing your shipping labels, your packing slips, and getting the stuff out the door. You also need to know what your method is going to be, whether that's based on weight, urgency, whether that might be fast, next day, overnight, priority, whatever you might call that, or class, which maybe there's maybe you go by shipper, UPS, FedEx, USPS, something like that. One way out of that UPS example is they started printing packing slips and shipping labels on a single sheet. And let me give you an example of that. Okay, here's an example. I told you I'm not here to sell you shipping software, but this is an example of what our system does. There are other systems that will do this as well. But as you can see, based on a relatively good file, you can put the packing slip over here, the shipping label, and even a message card on a single sheet of paper. So given that, and we've got some widgets shown over here, and as you can see, this isn't possible unless you've got decent data anyway. Our system actually goes pretty far to the point where if you have a shipping address, you know a quantity, and you know your part number. What our system has is a method in place where it can pre-calculate your weights, add your item descriptions, and do a lot of the autofill for you. In our experiences working with customers over the years, there's a big vista in how people have their data. So that's one of the things that we did. What this allows you to do is allows you to get it right the first time. You can print these things out 100 at a time, 50 at a time, 10 at a time. I can tell you starting out and running around being my own warehouse guy, wearing every hat in the business like many of you are today, that it takes a long time, right? You're in one spot shipping your printing label, you're in another spot doing your packing slip, then you got to go, you got to get your box, you got to get your product. Hustling, I could do one every 6 minutes. I could do 10 an hour. So if I had 50 orders, my whole day was shot. I got virtually nothing done. Or at least I was filling my orders and I was doing nothing on offense to propel my business. Something like this, you can knock the thing out in one shot from a single system and get them done in a minute and not in an hour. Or at least have the documentation done. So then you can grab it and go out and you've limited a number of steps. You've taken a number of steps out of your process to make life easier on yourself so you can promote your business and not spend all day packing boxes. Packing boxes is great. It means that business is going well, you've got orders to fill, but it gets to a point where it just gets inefficient. Another way you can streamline your process is not necessarily by batch processing, but by keyed import processing. This is an example down here. It's, again, something that our software does. If you guys have ever used UPS WorldShip, and there's other systems that does it, and they're pretty much all the same. What it is you focus it on your CSV file or database or text file or whatever it is, and either scan it or type in the order number, click import, and it goes out and it grabs that order and it brings it in. This is really good if you know what all your orders are in advance. If, for example, you have a aggregated pick list, I'll give you an example in just a minute, where all your orders are all listed on a single page, so you can go out, grab everything, bring them back, and then bring up your orders one at a time and ship them and create your labels. Using this method, you can use your packing slip. Okay, so whatever packing slip or order confirmation that's produced from your existing system, you can use those. You can print those out, get all your orders, bring them to the pack station, and fill your orders from one spot. As I just alluded, you just scan it or enter your order numbers into this little box that looks like that, and it will bring up your order on screen. You click print, print out your label. So you got your packing slip from one system, you've got your box already picked, already filled, and then you print out your label. That's another efficient way to do it on a one-by-one basis. And there's measures of quality control there. You can actually see what's in the box before you pack it up and put your label on. So we'll go to the next slide, and here's an example. Great. Here's an example of a daily pick report. What you're going to see is not ordered level detail, but item level detail. All right, so in all my orders for the day, I've got 12 of these orange widgets. I've got, looks like 6 of these red ones, 2 blue ones, 1 green one. So this is what it's telling me. These are my part numbers. This is where, if I have warehouse locations, show that too. A lot of people have some people don't have warehouse locations. They sort of have aisles and they kind of just know where everything is, and that's fine also. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your cart or whatever, you're going to grab your giant box, you're going to go out and you're going to grab all these things off the shelf. And you're going to bring it back to where your shipping computer is. And then you can go and you can, using that keyed import process, you can, scan or type in your order number. If that's 101, for example, and it says 101 is 1 orange widget and 1 green widget. So you pull these out of your master box, you pack them up in your smaller box, you print out your label, you put it on, it's ready to go. So you're not running around. You've collected all your stuff in one shot, and now you're printing all your stuff in one shot. And that's a much more effective way to go than what I was doing starting out, which is running around doing everything one at a time. That's why each one took me 6 minutes. Hustling took me 6 minutes. All right, so play to the strengths of your existing systems and resources. If you're people intensive now, play to the strengths of your people. If you are, if you're more technical, if you got more on the tech side, go that direction. If you are keying in stuff, that's the first thing that you could probably introduce to help remove some of the manual labor out of your current process. Look for a system, maybe it's a system that you use today, where you can at least export a text file, some sort of file out of that system which can be imported into a shipping system, so it takes that time and the potential for error out of that. That's really when mistakes, identify when mistakes are being made. It could be after lunch, you got a little bit of a food coma, you're typing stuff in, there's somebody else in the back office typing stuff in, something goes in wrong. If you're collating forms and matching up pick slips and packing, and labels, then one packet slip goes to the wrong label and a box goes to the wrong place. And going back to what Kevin said earlier, now you've got to return. And return's the last thing you want. They're expensive for one, and you got a dissatisfied customer. So as a third way to go is maybe it's first thing in the morning, maybe Mondays. That's typically people's heaviest shipping days. So if that's where all your time is being consumed, you're typing stuff in furiously. There's a little bit more chaos on Monday mornings than might be for the other days of the week when you might have more attention to pay on getting everything exactly perfect. So these are the times of day or areas of attention that you need to spend to try to correct your process and get a more effective and efficient process in place that is less labor intensive. One of the things that Dell does, Dell Computer, is he identified that the way to get things done the best way, at least for them, was to eliminate touches. And he called it touches. The more touches in a single process, the more potential errors there are in that process. So that's what they do. So you can think about in your own process today, what can you do to eliminate, or maybe not eliminate, but a few fewer touches to make it more efficient. You have to think about that for your own process, and I bet you that you can build that process into a better process. You can import it going on to, let's go back. We can go to, you can look at order management systems to streamline order importing. There are a number of good ones out there. Some of them are a little bit expensive. It depends on the size of your company and really how much time that you're spending and how many mistakes are happening from shipping your orders. But they are good. They'll take the information from your website and Amazon and eBay and all, your phone orders and everything else. They'll put them into a single system. So all you got to do is manage your inventories and your orders and your shipments from a single system. So that's really where your pain point is, pulling orders from all these different places and pulling them into one. Then it could be worth looking into. Okay. As I said, starting out, I was a small guy. I was doing everything for myself. And on a rainy day when I had a handful of orders, I thought to myself, okay, I got nothing to do. What would I do instead of having 6 orders? I got six customers. I got 6,000 customers. Is what I do today, is that going to work? Really need to plan for your own success. Is what you do today, can you scale it? Can you take what you do and just make it bigger? Will it hemorrhage, right? What would happen? Is it going to make a small nightmare into a big nightmare, or is what you're doing pretty good? That's what you need to discover. You need to start doing things efficiently. And we changed websites last year to a company called Volusion. It helped us do things more efficiently. There are other companies like OrderMotion who do order management. They can help you do things more efficiently. There's software like what we do, what Stamps.com does, where you can import orders from multiple places. And I'm sure most of you, not all of you, are Stamps.com customers today, and that's probably helped you streamline information from another number of these places. So then you're on your way. You've got a good idea what you need to do to move forward, to build what you have, improve on it, think about how you can eliminate touches, and it's helped to grow your business into something that's more efficient, so you spend less time packing boxes and more time growing your business. What I did is I found a mentor. All right, immediately after I thought, okay, this isn't working. What I do cannot be done on a bigger scale. I'm running around packing boxes. So I was in the bicycle industry. You want to find somebody who is not necessarily a competitor, but somebody who sort of complements what you do. So we had a trade show coming up, and I'm originally from San Francisco, and Marin Mountain Bikes was right down the street. So I went to talk to those guys because I wanted to put some of their bikes in my trade show booth. So this guy Bob owned the company. I love Bob, right? So I go and see Bob, and I'm thinking, first I'll ask him for a couple bikes, and then I'll ask him some questions, some help. How's he structured? What can I model what I want to be after what he does? And some things stick with you for life. And I remember going to see Bob for the first time, and I talked to the receptionist, and they said, you can go back and go in and see Bob now. And Bob had this automatic door. And at the time, it was the most impressive thing I've ever seen. He had it on a remote where you walk up, and he clicked it, and it opened, and you go in, and you sit down, and he clicks it again, it shuts behind you. And I'm like, okay, a little bit intimidating, but I'm like, okay, this is what I want an electric door. So that was my motivation. And he was fantastic. I'll tell you what, he realized early on that onesie-twosie stuff was not what his business could do well. He sold whole bikes. So what he did was he went distributor. He didn't pretend that he could do all of it himself. He had a good-sized company, but at the same time, they were mostly sales and marketing people. And so what he did is they kept some of what they did in-house. They had a couple warehouses that did, handlebars and pedals and grips and stuff like that. But for the main bulk of their stuff, for bikes, they shipped them all to distributors in giant pallets. They didn't handle all that stuff, so they didn't deal with a lot of little bike shops directly. They sent all the master distributors through the bike shops to call the distributors, and then they would send that stuff out. So it was a way for them to sort of, be more efficient, subcontract what they weren't great at or what they didn't have room. I mean, think of the amount of space you would need to have to store, thousands of whole bikes. And it was a way that I thought, okay, you know what? He's exactly right. I would get pummeled if I did onesie-twosie stuff all day. And I basically followed that model. Everything from that point on, I got in case quantities. Everything came in 12. So instead of, packing each individual one, I would pull a box off a shelf, slap a label on it, and it went out the door. So it's just one of the things that I learned from his example and from the other examples of people in my industry and people who are willing to help me along the way that help me grow it and be successful at and ultimately sell it and be the software guy I am now. So hopefully I was able to help. I'd love to hear some questions if you guys have any. And again, I thank you for your time.
All right, cool. This is Eric. Chris, I've got a couple questions for you and a couple questions for us from Stamps.com, or for Stamps.com. Let me start with for you. And this question is from Jean, and she says, my client sends me their data in a CSV file with a number of shipments varying from 10 to 15 during off-peak to 100 to 300 packages during peak period. The challenge we face is that the client's gift message is separated into several different cells. How do we import a multi-cell gift message into ReadyShipper?
You would have to bring those all into a single cell. That's something that you would need to do in your spreadsheet itself. There are custom ways we can do it with regards to our software. We can format the label for you. The label is actually written in Jasper. It's open source, so you can actually crack into it yourself. It's a little bit tricky, so if you're intimidated by that, but we can do it for you. But we can put in an opener, a body, and a closer in that section. The other thing that you can do on your own is in Excel, you can tell it to take the three fields that have the opener, body, and closer and put them into one, and then import that field into the message field, and you'll get what you're looking for.
Great. Jean actually has another question for you, Chris, and this one is, the client does not want a packing slip in or on their package. They want the label and message only half-sheet size, as the box size is 12 by 6 by 6. And Jean's wondering if that is possible. So it sounds like she doesn't want a packing slip at all.
Doesn't want a packing slip at all. Well, in the software, there's a form style. Well, I mean, you just okay. Yeah, but not on a 4x6 label format. There's a full sheet format. If you go to labels and forms, there's a full sheet format where you're going to see different packing slip styles and label styles and so forth. There's one called form only, and what that's going to do is just kind of give you just the message card and the shipping label.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Donna's got a question for us here at Stamps.com, and she's asking, is Stamps.com capable of interfacing with Miva shopping cart or QuickBooks software? And so, Donna, the question for QuickBooks is yes, Stamps.com is integrated with QuickBooks. So this integration just came out about 6 months back. Our program, you basically have to download a small plugin into your software, and then once it's in, that plugin's installed, you're able to buy and print postage completely inside the QuickBooks software program You never have to leave it. You can print shipping labels and pretty much do all the services of Stamps.com inside QuickBooks. In terms of integrating with MIVA, we're not quite there yet. We've been adding lots of new shopping cart software integrations. MIVA has not been part of it yet, but I'm not sure if MIVA is able to download an XML file, but if you're able to download an XML file, you would be able to import that into Stamps.com. And MIVA is obviously being one of the bigger shopping cart engines or shopping cart softwares. We're looking to integrate with them, and them and other software providers very soon. Another question came in for us, and that one is from Day, who wanted to find out about Stamps.com's international insurance process, and if we still offer a discount for that. And just to answer that question is, Stamps.com recently launched our version 8.7 software. Inside that software has been, we've added the new feature of international insurance as well as international scan forms. And for international insurance, we offer a 10% discount off the USPS rates. And if you're a professional shipper, part of that program of Stamps.com, you get a 40% discount off of USPS rates for international insurance. We have most all of the countries in there. It's got very few restrictions in terms of countries. And so we're really excited to have that international insurance process. Let me see, there's a couple more questions coming in. Got actually lots of questions coming in. Let's see. Give me a quick sec. This one looks like it's, let's see. Give me a sec. This one's for you, Chris. It's from John, and he's asking, when we archive sent orders in TrueShipper, can we go back through the archive? Can we do a search through the archive with the customer's name, email, or order number?
Yeah. All you gotta do, you'll see in the software itself, you see there's a search bar in the upper right corner. Just put in what you want to search for, and you can put a customer's name or company name or whatever you want to put. And then under the View menu, you're going to see Display Archived Orders. So put what you want to search for, Display Archive, and it will bring it up.
Very cool. Here's one from Felicia. This is for stamps, and she's asking about our new integration with Volusion. She's asking, my website is through Volusion. Will it talk directly to Stamps.com and transfer the data directly for shipping and add in the tracking info back into Volusion? And the answer, Felicia, is yes. This is all done via an XML transfer. So inside Volusion, you'd need to download your data into an XML format. Stamps.com can import that XML format. There are some types of setups you might have to adjust on your XML file format, but Volusion should be like a button on Volusion to format the style for XML. And then you should be able to upload that data right into Stamps.com, be able to print all USPS mail classes, including first class mail, international, media mail, parcel post, and then it will basically spit out, Stamps.com file will spit out an XML file that includes all of your tracking numbers, and then you'll be able to import that file right back into Volusion, and it will post back into your order according to your order numbers. So let's see, got lots of questions coming in. Okay, here's another one for you, Chris. This is from John, and he's asking, can we change the size of the shipping label in TrueShipper? We need a smaller shipping label for our packages.
Smaller shipping label. The shipping labels are standard shipping labels, 4x6.
All right, so 4x6 it is for him. Let's see. Let me see. We probably have one more question here. This is actually for you again, Chris. This is from Donna, and she's asking, is TrueShip compatible with MIVA or QuickBooks? MIVA shopping.
We're not compatible with MIVA, but we do have an excellent QuickBooks integration. So, if MIVA actually communicates with QuickBooks, then we can actually pull the information out of QuickBooks. I'm pretty sure, I'm fairly familiar with MIVA. If you can also, if you export a CSV file of your orders out of MIVA, then you can import into ReadyShipper. It's got a mapping system, so just about any CSV file you can import into ReadyShipper. and then once it's processed and ready to ship, it can actually make the entries and so forth into your QuickBooks with tracking.
Sounds good. All right, here's probably the last question we'll be able to answer since we're closing in our time. This is from Tammy. It's for Stamps.com here. She's saying, if you link Stamps.com to a website such as Yahoo Small Business in their case, would you only be able to choose one shipping method or one mail class, such as first class, parcel post, or priority? And the answer to that, Tammy, is no. You can actually choose all of the different mail classes. That's one of the great benefits we have, especially with our integration with Yahoo stores. Once you get the data inside, you can adjust the mail class. Hopefully you're going to choose whatever the mail class the person chose. Sometimes you may have an inventory problem where you might need to upgrade the mail class. Say someone chose originally a parcel post or a lower class and you need to upgrade it to a faster delivery time. You would have that ability. You can go in there. Once the data is into the Stamps.com software from your store, you're able to go in there and add different types of services or change the mail class. And again, hopefully you'll never change it to a lower mail class. You'll only change it up to a faster mail class. But that is one of the great features we have integrating with these different shopping cart and store softwares. So I think with that, Kevin, I'm going to hand it back to you and Chris and everybody else that's asking questions. I'll try to get in here, and if they're for Stamps.com, we'll certainly respond back. Otherwise, I'll make a list for Chris, and we'll send them over to him, and he can respond back as well. So back to you, Kevin.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Eric, for answering all those questions. Chris, do you have any final comments before we close the session?
No, I just really appreciate everyone's time, and hopefully I was some help. And again, thanks again for giving me a forum, giving me an opportunity to give back.
Thank you for your help, Chris. And everyone, just wanted to again thank you as the host here at Stamps.com. Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the webinar and found it useful and beneficial for your business. Keep in mind, like Eric said, any and all questions that have been submitted, we will do our best to get back to you, or Chris, if they're designated for TrueShip, we'll do our best to get the response back to you, if not today, by early tomorrow. But within the next 24 hours, we'll go ahead and respond to your questions. And we will also be sending you a survey in the next 24 hours, just to, if you could take some time and just respond to that and let us know how we did today. We'd appreciate it. Thanks again for everything. And you know where to find us here at Stamps.com and, of course, TrueShip. So let us know if you have any other questions in the future, and have a lovely rest of the afternoon. Thank you.